So you all are the children of God, one Heavenly Father. So I want to bow every human being, those who are here and those who are in the whole universe.
December 2002, Paramhansa Hariharananda was laid to rest at Hariharananda Gurukulam, Balighai, Odisha in India. He lived a life completely dedicated to God, not limited by any worldly conditioning. His heart was always ready to serve wherever and whenever he could. His life itself is a message to all of us to live and to achieve by not wasting the precious treasure of time. The Himalayas are India's snow-capped peaks, her crown. From these heights, numerous rivers flow down from the glaciers to the plains and ultimately to the ocean. The place where the Ganga and Sagara or ocean meet is called Ganga Sagara. And the name of this area on the map of India is Bengal. The state of Bengal has given birth to many spiritual luminaries through the ages. Bengali literature is enriched by the teachings of these great personalities like the literary champion Rabindranath Tagore and spiritual luminaries such as Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Lahiri Mahasaya. In Bengal there is a district, Nadia, which holds a unique position on the spiritual map of India. In the medieval period, a divine personality, Sri Chaitanya, was born there. In Nadia, not far from the birthplace of Sri Chaitanya, is a village called Habibpur. In this village lived people of different classes, castes and professions, and among the few Brahman families were the Bhattacharyas. This family was most respected because of its spiritual background, strict religious discipline, and material prosperity. Haripada was the head of this Bhattacharya family. Haripada showed great personal strength and self-discipline. He was an affluent person, called in those days a zamindar or landlord of the community. A man of many talents, Haripada was a scholar of Sanskrit, well versed in Hindu scriptures and rituals, as well as in astrology and palmistry. He knew Ayurveda, homeopathy, and to some extent even modern medicine. He also had a good grasp of legal matters. Haripada was extremely self-disciplined, utilizing every moment in a productive manner. A strict lifestyle, love for God, and high moral and ethical standards characterized his way of life. Haripada was married to Nobin Kali, a pious and devoted woman. They engaged in the regular worship of Lord Shiva as well as the Divine Mother after whom Nobin Kali was named. Her name literally means Eternal Mother Divine. Truly, Haripada's wife was an incarnation of the Divine Mother. She was always compassionate and generous, forever helping the poor and needy in the community. No one who came to her for help left empty-handed. She could not bear to see anyone suffering. Love and service were her two special gifts, and she was revered as a mother by the whole community. One morning when Nobin Kali was taking a bath in the family pond, she had a special experience. While in the water, a tulsi leaf or holy basil that was floating in the water stuck to her navel area, and suddenly she was almost in a state of ecstasy. For several moments she lost awareness of bodily sensation. Upon regaining consciousness, she reported the experience to her beloved husband. He knew that she was going to be a mother. He then told her, "We are fortunate that a great devotee of God is going to be born in our family. Let us spend more time in prayer and meditation to create a proper environment for the newcomer." The month of May is one of the hottest months of the year in India, when the sun's rays scorch the earth. It was on the 27th Jyeshtha of this month, 1907, a Monday morning full moon day and the holy birth of Gautama Buddha, when Haripada and Nobin Kali were blessed with their 5th son and 10th child. Haripada, who was proficient in astrology, astronomy and palmistry, calculated the astrological chart or the horoscope for his newborn child, and accordingly sought a name to give the child on the 21st day following his birth. Haripada was amazed to see in the natal chart that this child was a rare one, who would be a spiritual master, a divine guide, and a solace to many. His youngest son was given the name Ravi, which literally means the sun. Just as the sun gives light to the whole world, this child would give light to the spiritual seeker. He was born in the early morning of the hot summer, but Ravi would never scorch. Instead, he was born to spread the cool and soothing rays of spirituality. The child was sweet and beautiful like a blooming rose, with an exceptional complexion and attractive eyes that had an alluring and magical look. From early childhood he showed signs of exceptional intelligence, memory, understanding, and love. All who knew Ravi at an early age recalled his noble nature and inner calmness. Haripada, aware of his son's spiritual destiny, tried his best to train him in all the possible ways to help unfold his spiritual qualities. During his regular ritualistic practices, Haripada allowed Rabindranath to sit by his side and listen to the chanting of the mantras and to watch how the rites were performed. Rabindranath, whose nickname was Robin or Robbie, had a remarkable memory and soon remembered all the puja mantras by heart. At 4 years old, he was able to chant all the mantras. His father would begin the mantra and let young Robbie complete it. When Robbie was inattentive, Haripada would give him a piece of candy to help him focus on the worship and chanting. Haripada trained all his children to conduct the family rituals and continue the spiritual traditions. Keenly aware of Robbie's destiny, Haripada trained him especially well. He instructed Robbie always to pay respect to sadhus, gurus, and Vaishnavas, holy men, spiritual masters, and wandering monks. He said, "If you see ochre-colored cloth carried on the back of the donkey by the washerman for washing, you should mentally bow down to the donkey, even though it is just carrying the ochre clothes." These words left an indelible mark in the mind of the young child. Encouraged by his father, the schoolboy Robbie began to read the Holy Bible. From a very early age, he encouraged the boy to read and comprehend the holy books of other religions. Through the influence of his father, he also became proficient in astrology, so he was able to prepare astrological charts and analyze them. Fully conversant in moral philosophy and various other branches of knowledge, Haripada taught his son all that he knew, often through songs, rhymes, and couplets that Robbie could remember easily. Robbie used to sit next to Haripada while he treated the sick, and he listened carefully to the description of the symptoms of patients. His father would ask, "Robbie, which medicine do you think is suitable for this disease?" And little Robbie, drawing on his own intuition and Haripada's meticulous training, would answer correctly most of the time. Haripada also took Robbie to the vast family garden and taught him the medicinal value of herbs and plants. Robbie completed his primary education and then went on to high school at Ranaghat, a few miles away from home. Ranaghat Pal Chaudhary Higher Secondary School is a premier educational institution. One time during Robbie's school days, people of his village were celebrating the birthday of Rabindranath Tagore, the renowned poet, dramatist, educator, and scholar. All the young men of the village staged a commemorative production. They asked Robbie to offer thanks at the end of the program to the various participants and patrons for making the event a success. And although Robbie was too young to do this, he accepted their offer. Standing in front of a large audience for the first time, however, Robbie became extremely nervous. As he stood there unable to speak, people clapped and the curtain was closed. Needless to say, Robbie was quite upset with himself. Sympathetic Haripada understood how he felt and persuaded the other children not to tease or criticize the young man. Haripada consoled Robbie, then began training his young son in public speaking, a special art requiring confidence, competence, calmness, concentration, and an appealing style of presentation. As a form of instruction, Haripada would dictate a paragraph or write a note on a particular topic and ask Robbie to memorize it. Later, he took him to the garden and said, "Look, imagine all these trees to be your audience. Please speak fearlessly in their presence, clearly and distinctly with pause, accent and love, so that all will be thrilled." Then Haripada would judge and evaluate Robbie's performance, pointing out mistakes and suggesting how he might correct them. This training taught Robbie to be fearless about speaking in public. Haripada had many responsibilities and was always extremely busy with the management of his estate. He was a rich man in the locality, a zamindar, a landlord, entrusted by the British government to collect land revenue from the tenants. Sometimes he was rude, using harsh words to discipline and control people. He scolded them for the slightest mistakes. He shouted at his servants and other people subject to his authority. One day, Haripada found his youngest son Robbie mumbling as if trying to memorize something. Haripada inquired about what he was saying. Robbie replied, "The strong words that you used on the poor man who was with you today." His father asked him what for, and his son replied, "I must remember them so that when I grow up, I can use these words on others." Of course, this was a play by Robbie, intended to transform his father's behavior towards the poor people. In this situation, the child became the guru of the father. Haripada felt ashamed and said, "You must not use these words, it is not good." Then Robbie quickly responded, "Then why do you use them if it is not good?" Consequently, his father promised that he would try to control his tongue when dealing with people. Whenever his father forgot the promise and lost his temper, young Robbie would come out of his study room to stand politely near his father until Haripada moderated his speech. Thus, Robbie brought great change in the life of his father. In the year 1918, the sacred Upanayana ceremony was performed for Robbie. Haripada was the acharya or the preceptor who conducted all the prescribed rituals. In the evening, when the ceremonies were almost finished, the time came for the new Brahman Robbie to break his day-long fast, but he refused to eat. The little Brahman boy in ceremonial dress surprised everyone when he approached his father and asked with due respect and love, "Will you kindly initiate me in our traditional mantra on this auspicious day?" At first, Haripada, a Kula Guru or strict orthodox Brahman well-versed in all the ritualistic practices, declined. But he was moved by his young son's strong and earnest desire for initiation. Robbie's mother intervened and requested that Robbie first eat some food, but the child was determined and refused to eat until he was initiated. There were tears in his father's eyes as he held his son on his lap and said, "My child, God bless you. I am amazed at your request and determination. Now, I am initiating you in our traditional family Kula mantra." Again, however, Haripada cautioned, "My child, I know your destiny and future life. Many masters will initiate you in the future. Please remember, before being initiated by your predestined gurus, tell them that you have been initiated by this mantra and ask for further initiation from them with the same mantra. This is a Siddha mantra. I bless you to be a Siddha yogi in your life." He further instructed Robbie that until he was realized, he should follow strictly all the Brahman disciplines. After realization, one need not abide by all these stringent rules. Between the age 11 and 48, Robbie followed his father's instructions. Srimad Bijoy Krishna Chattopadhyay was a householder and a renowned realized master in the spiritual tradition of Jnana Yoga. He was born on the 17th of December 1875 in the village of Nikash, Jangipara in the district of Hooghly in Bengal. He later lived in Howrah on Kali Banerjee Lane and was known as Howrah Thakur. He lived much like the ancient rishis. He led a normal family life, but in time reached the highest stage of realization. Sri Bijoy Krishna left his physical body in 1947 on the same date and month as his birth. But before he departed, he became Robbie's second guru, his father being the first. One of Robbie's brothers, Pareshnath, and their brother-in-law, Pramathnath, were disciples of Sri Bijoy Krishna. Hearing about him, Robbie longed to meet such a great soul. Finally, at the age of 12 in 1919, Robbie visited him. Soon after, Sri Bijoy Krishna initiated him into the path of Jnana Yoga. This great master taught Robbie how to spend every moment in God consciousness, and Robbie followed his direction with love, surrender, and sincerity. Robbie was drawn more and more to the path of God realization. A young mind is like soft clay and can be shaped to take any form. In childhood, it was Robbie's parents, and then during adolescence and young adulthood, the divine Guru Sri Bijoy Krishna, who fully prepared him for higher levels of spiritual experience. Whenever Robbie visited Kolkata as a young man, he never missed an opportunity to be in his Guru's company. Robbie completed high school in 1925 and joined Bardwan Raj College in Bardwan, Bengal, near the place where his third brother was an established medical doctor. He finished his 2-year intermediate course, and while pursuing his bachelor's degree in the same college, he took a course in textile technology. At that time, very few Indians were qualified in textile engineering. He successfully completed the engineering course and started work in a reputed textile company, Annapurna Cotton Mills at Sham Bazar in Kolkata. Everyone liked Robbie, with his pleasing personality, gentle behavior, and keen intelligence. Through his spiritual practice and meditation, he had developed intuition and insight that helped him solve many difficult problems. He could repair complicated machinery, for instance, an ability that amounted to a financial windfall for the company. His first production at work was a beautiful piece of cloth, and the company gave it to him as a gift. In turn, he presented it to his youngest sister, Tripti Moi. All the family members delighted in his achievement. His work in the modern textile industry is reminiscent of Sant Kabir's God-intoxicated weaving. It so happened that Robbie was a handsome and talented young man with a good job, and so he was a very desirable bachelor. Many fathers considered him a good match for their daughters. His own father, knowing the destiny of his son, cautioned him about marriage. When Sri Bijoy Krishna encouraged Robbie to marry and lead a family life while continuing his spiritual practice, Robbie politely declined, saying he was not mentally ready to enter into such a great responsibility. Instead, Robbie asked his Gurudev how to enter into the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi and whether he could help him to attain that state. Sri Bijoy Krishna was without any vanity or ego. So when he heard Robbie's request, he said, "Robbie, I will tell you one thing, please listen. I know a great yogi. He is not an ordinary man. He is a superman, a divine personality. He is named Sri Yuktishwar, a sincere disciple of Sri Lahiri Mahasaya of Banaras. He is a great master in Kriya Yoga. Try to meet him and he can help you in your quest." A new chapter in this young seeker's life was beginning. Now, Guru Bijoy Krishna gave Robbie permission to learn the scientific technique of Kriya Yoga. So he planned to travel to meet the great Kriya master at Serampur, a beautiful town on the bank of the Ganga not far from Kolkata. When the golden opportunity finally presented itself, young Robbie, tall and handsome in his mid-20s, clad in western dress with an unusual golden yellow complexion, approached Sri Yukteswarji's ancestral residence called Priyadham, the abode of the beloved. Sri Yukteswarji was a man of serious temperament, who was reputed even to be rude sometimes. So Robbie was a little nervous at first, but then he thought, why should I be afraid of approaching a divine personality? If, fearing the bees, one does not go near the honeycomb, how can one taste the sweetness of honey? The building was old, large, in disrepair. Parts of it were on the verge of collapse. Sri Yukteswarji lived in one of the larger rooms. Robbie went to the door and looked at Sri Yukteswarji from a distance. He saw him sitting cross-legged in the lotus posture, his disposition calm and sublime, and his gaze absorbed in infinity. His eyes unblinking, he seemed completely absorbed in the self. Standing in his august presence, Robbie felt powerfully drawn to him. A divine radiance emanated from Sri Yukteswarji's body and gradually melted Robbie's fear completely away. Feeling someone's presence, the master lowered his gaze and looked at Robbie, then again turned his vision inward. Robbie felt welcomed, and gathering strength he entered the room where Sri Yukteswarji was alone. With great devotion, Robbie drew near to him and bowed twice, touching each of the master's holy feet to the point midway between his eyebrows. Holding Robbie's head with both hands, Sri Yukteswarji kissed his forehead and invited him to sit down on the floor. Sri Yukteswarji looked at him and asked, "What is your name?" "Robindranath Bhattacharya," he answered politely. "From which place have you come?" "Habibpur, Nadia." Hearing the name of Habibpur, he became thoughtful. Sri Yukteswarji had relatives in Habibpur, where he visited occasionally. He again inquired about Robbie's family, then continued, "I know Haripada Bhattacharya, a very respectable Brahmin of the village. I have been to Habibpur a few times. Although I have never talked with your father, I have seen him from a distance and heard about him from the villagers. I am impressed with his personality." Next he asked Robbie, "How did you know about me? Do you know astrology? Do you remember your own astrological chart?" Robbie narrated his background and confessed, "I learned astrology and palmistry along with puja mantras from my father. My father is my first guide, guru and mentor. I also received some spiritual training from Sri Bijoy Krishna of Howrah, who referred me to you. I have come to learn Kriya Yoga at your holy feet. I learned from Sri Bijoy Krishna that you are the person who can help me reach the stage of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Through your blessings and guidance, I will be able to attain self-realization." Sri Yukteswarji made Robbie sit directly in front of him. He touched the two sides of Robbie's chest and forehead while practicing Kriya himself. Thus, he purified Robbie's body that soon was filled with divine effulgence. Swami Sri Yukteswarji was a great yogi, a strict self-disciplined master. His great guru, Sri Lahiri Mahasaya of Banaras, initiated him into Kriya Yoga on August 19, 1883. Sri Yukteswarji frequently visited his divine master and practiced Kriya sincerely and seriously. After the Mahasamadhi of his loving master, he concentrated more on spreading Kriya Yoga and disseminating the spiritual treasure of the Bhagavad Gita. In the year 1903, on March 22nd, he established Karar Ashram by the seaside in the holy city of Puri in the state of Orissa. He spent his time mostly in three places: Banaras, Sirampur and Puri. Sri Yukteswarji trained many disciples in the path of Kriya. His beloved disciple Yogananda ji went to America in 1920 and settled there to spread India's age-old spiritual treasure in the West. Another disciple, Swami Satyananda, helped to realize Yogananda ji's vision of establishing Brahmacharya Vidyalaya in Ranchi. Most of Sri Yukteswarji's household or disciples who were advanced in Kriya practice also taught Kriya Yoga. When Robbie met him, Sri Yukteswarji was growing old. 2 ashrams needed care. One was his parental home Priyadham, a crumbling palace in Sirampur, and the other was Karar Ashram in Puri. Sri Yukteswarji felt a new ray of hope when he met Robbie. Puri is a holy place, he said to him. I visited Puri for the first time when there was no railway transportation. I founded the Karar Ashram on the seashore, a beautiful place for meditating and leading a spiritual life. In the year 1921, I handed over the ashram to a trust. Until now, I have been searching for a suitable person to be in charge of the ashram and was not really successful. Today, after reading your horoscope and looking at your hand and head, I feel that my beloved Karar Ashram of Priyanath has a future. Listen to what I say. Just as a tiny seed of the banyan tree contains within itself the potential of a massive tree, so do you. By your sincere practice of Kriya, one day you will be the greatest Kriya Yogi not only in India, but also in the whole world. You will be endowed with supernatural powers and will attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the highest attainment of a yogi. Sri Yukteswarji instructed Robbie to practice meditation sincerely and to meet with him from time to time. He advised, introvert the senses and always remain in the cranium in all your activities. You will get balance of mind and divinity within you. You are not an ordinary boy. Don't keep anything for tomorrow. Procrastination is a great evil. In every moment, feel the living presence of the divine within you. Within a short period, you will be realized. It is my heartfelt desire that you should go to Puri and live in the ashram. You will get seclusion and be able to meditate for longer periods of time. Swami Sri Yukteswarji was already 77 years old when Robbie met him. Although he was physically strong, he suffered from asthma. He did not shower regularly. He spent most of his time in meditation and Shambhavi Mudra. Therefore, every weekend when Robbie visited his loving Guru, he bathed him with hot water and massaged him, applying hot towels, dressing him in new clothes. Offering fruits and flowers, he bowed at the holy feet of the Master. Sometimes, Sri Yukteswarji would say, Robbie, why do you spend so much money for all these things? I do not like waste. Sri Yukteswarji was a saint, extremely detached from the world. He would not spend money for any luxury or comfort. Robbie would reply smilingly, Gurudev, it is my pleasure to be in your holy company and to serve you. Slowly, the divine bond between teacher and student became stronger. Previously, people considered Sri Yukteswarji to be a serious, strict teacher. But with regular visits of Robbie, people noticed a great change in him. For example, while conversing with Robbie, he would laugh uproariously. Every weekend he eagerly awaited Robbie's arrival, continually looking at the clock. One day, Sri Yukteswarji's close disciple Swami Narayan Giri, also known as Prabhuji, said to Robbie, You have brought a remarkable change to the life of Guru Maharajji. You are really a good magician. Sri Yukteswarji had many advanced disciples, Robbie being the youngest among them. Sri Yukteswarji was not only a self-realized master in Kriya Yoga, but also an accomplished scholar in Eastern and Western philosophy, with a thorough knowledge of the Holy Bible, human anatomy, astronomy, and astrology. He developed a new system of astrological analysis called cosmic astrology. Devoted to nurturing Robbie's spiritual growth, he slowly taught the young man all these branches of knowledge. Robbie could not hide his strong desire to observe his beloved master in the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. The omniscient Guru, to inspire confidence in his dear disciple, blessed him by granting his wish and revealed the state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi to him. When Sri Yukteswarji walked down the street, his gaze was always fixed in the infinite. He was always detached. His tall, erect and robust body and his steady gaze struck unknown fear in the hearts of the passer-by. Considered a lion among men, he was known as a royal Bengal tiger. One day, Sri Yukteswarji and Robbie were walking together, strolling leisurely in the fresh air. A bullock cart loaded with bags passed by. The driver failed to notice when a big bag fell from the cart. Sri Yukteswarji saw the bag fall but remained detached, while Robbie could not resist running to the driver to inform him. The bullock cart driver stopped the cart, thanked Robbie, and picked up his bag. Robbie returned to his guru feeling satisfied. But Sri Yukteswarji said, "I have not a moment to be deviated from my goal of immersion in the ocean of cosmic bliss. Remain compassionately detached in this material world to be free from the delusive force of nature." While studying with Sri Yukteswarji, Robbie had heard much about Yogananda ji from his beloved Guruji as well as from various Kriyavans. Robbie had an irresistible desire to meet this great soul. This child is not an ordinary one. He will be a spiritual engine who will carry many seeking souls to reach the divine. So predicted Sri Lahiri Mahasaya while taking the child Mukunda in his lap to bless him. Later, Mukunda was popularly known as Paramhansa Yogananda, who lit the lamp of love for God in the heart of millions. Swami Vivekananda, the highly God-intoxicated spiritualist of India, proclaimed at the end of the 19th century that he had laid the foundation of spiritual development in the West and that there would be a revolutionary change in the Western outlook. He also predicted that another great yogi would succeed him and bring about reconciliation of all religions through meditation and a yogic lifestyle. This yogi was Yogananda ji. Yogananda ji was a spiritual dynamo. He said, "My life is one whirlwind of activity and struggle for the work." Most of his 59 years of life were spent in the West, particularly in the USA. After staying continuously in the USA for 15 years, Yogananda ji returned to India for a short time from 1935 to 1936. In 1935, while staying in Kolkata in his parental home at Gaurpur Road, Robbie managed to meet Yogananda ji. Robbie bowed down and sat at this master's feet. Yogananda ji said to Robbie, "Only by seeing one could neither get that divine power nor fulfill one's life's desire." Robbie replied with humility, "I want to experience the power of spiritual practice and to learn from you the advanced techniques of the higher form of Kriya Yoga." Yogananda ji asked, "How many hours would you devote for spiritual practice?" Robbie replied, "It is not a matter of hours, days, or years. In order to be in contact with such great power, I am prepared to sacrifice my whole life in spiritual practice in a hermitage, and I have taken a vow of lifelong celibacy and dedication for this purpose. I have the greatest desire to witness you in the state of Samadhi." Satisfied, Yogananda ji took Robbie with him into a separate room, sat in meditation, and within a short period of time, he reached the Samadhi state. Robbie was overwhelmed to behold his body luminous with divine light, without heartbeat, pulse, or breath. After about half an hour, Yogananda ji gradually resumed his normal physical condition. Robbie bowed to him in devotion and love. Robbie wanted to receive spiritual initiation from him, and Yogananda ji kindly and sympathetically granted his desire. When Robbie asked what he should bring for the initiation ceremony, Yogananda ji replied cheerfully that a heart full of love was the best offering to the Guru. The initiation into second Kriya took place the next day, and afterwards Yogananda ji embraced Robbie. His loving and superhuman touch left Robbie in a blissful state, completely filled with divine vibration. On another occasion, Yogananda ji touched Robbie's head and said that one day, through spiritual practice, he would awaken the supreme power within himself and attain the superhuman state. Each statement of this great yogi was a prophecy. During Yogananda ji's stay in India, Sri Yukteswarji bestowed on him the great title of Paramhansa. Henceforth, He was known as Paramhansa Yogananda. His thrilling voice, clear conscience, and supreme love had a lasting influence on Robbie's life. Unfortunately, Robbie would not enjoy the company of such great gurus as Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji and Paramhansa Yogananda Ji for much longer. While Robbie was still working in the textile company, his beloved guru Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji left his physical body in 1936 in Karar Ashram. Paramhansa Yogananda Ji completed the rituals following the Mahasamadhi of Sri Yukteswar Ji. And then he appointed Swami Sevananda Ji as the Swami in charge of the Karar Ashram before he returned to the USA. For a true spiritual seeker, such separation is extremely painful. Robbie missed the direct physical association of the two great masters. Although he was not a spiritual leader, a saint, or a monk, in the introduction to his own autobiography he wrote, "What I want to achieve, what I have been striving and paining to achieve these 30 years is self-realization, to see God face to face, to attain moksha. I live and move and have my being in pursuit of this goal. All that I do by way of speaking and writing and all my ventures in the political field are directed to the same end. But I have all along believed that what is possible for one is possible for all. My experiments have not been conducted in the closet, but in the open, and I do not think that this fact detracts from their spiritual value. There are some things which are known only to oneself and one's maker. These are clearly incommunicable. The experiments I am about to relate are not such, but they are spiritual or rather moral, for the essence of religion is morality. Mahatma Gandhi was not only the leader of millions of poor people, he was the true voice of morality and truth. He transformed the lives of many by exemplifying plain living, high thinking, and self-discipline. One day in the 1930s, this remarkable man of modern India was traveling in the area of Bengal, Bardwan, by train. Robbie, a handsome young man in his 20s, was dressed in modern clothing with gold-framed glasses and a hat. With his extremely fair complexion, he looked European, so the crowd made way for Robbie to approach Mahatma. Touching his feet and bowing, he stood before Gandhi as the train began moving forward. Gandhiji himself mistook Robbie for a European and spoke to him in English. Robbie, the smart and dynamic young man, continued the conversation in English. Gandhiji eventually realized that he was not European but a Bengali young man. Robbie's charming and pleasing behavior touched Gandhiji's heart. Gandhiji, a man with deep insight and intelligence, blessed Robbie and gave practical advice to lead a spiritual and patriotic life. He noticed that Robbie spoke rapidly in British English, and he advised him always to speak and write short, simple sentences so that his ideas and thoughts would be comprehensible to ordinary people. Language is for communication, and if it comes from the heart with simplicity and love, it touches others immensely, he said. Mahatma Gandhi was not only a great national leader of India, but he was also a symbol of Indian culture, religious harmony, and spirituality. He always raised his voice against social injustice and tried to remove social imbalances and malpractice in India. Initiated into Kriya Yoga by Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, he was also a sincere Kriyavan until his assassination on January 30th, 1948. Gandhiji's life and teachings had a profound influence on Robbie's life. Puri is a small town on the east coast of India. There is no record of its origins, for its history dates back several thousands of years. This is a town of temples, ashrams, hermitages, and monasteries. The huge temple complex of Lord Jagannath occupies the center of Puri, with the glorious sea on one side and the river on the other. Its presiding deity is Lord Jagannath, whose name literally means Lord of the Universe. Because of the numerous monasteries and ashrams in the town, there are thousands of monks practicing the teachings of the Gurus with faith and love. Swami Sri Yukteswarji occasionally traveled to Puri to receive the darshan of Lord Jagannath and to discuss scriptures and astrology with scholars and astrologers. Making use of his knowledge of astronomy and astrology, he founded the Karar Ashram on the auspicious 22nd of March 1903, the day of the vernal equinox when the duration of day and night is equal. Karar was the family name of Priyanath, and it also means one who serves, Sevaka. True service is that which enables an individual to realize his real state, the self, and thus gain peace and bliss. From its inception, Karar Ashram became a center for true seekers of spiritual practice. After the Mahasamadhi of Sri Yukteswarji, Paramhansa Yogananda ji arranged for the burial at the ashram. According to the tradition for great yogis, the body was placed in the lotus position. Around it there is now a small, beautiful temple with an altar, a Shiva lingam, and a space for sitting in silent meditation. The ashram is charged with a spiritual vibration that makes the mind easily introverted and calm. As Robbie spent more time praying sincerely and meditating, he became more introverted. From his outward appearance as a handsome, fashionable young man, no one would have believed that there was a flame burning inside him, a longing to be realized. This flame of renunciation called out to him in every silent moment. Arise, awake, strive sincerely, and get realization. He was nearly 30 years old, and his family was anxious for him to be married. But his father, knowing his astrological destiny, was silently waiting to see his prediction fulfilled. Although his former guru, Sri Bajoy Krishna, had encouraged him to marry, his soul was thirsting for deeper meditation, for entry into the kingdom of heavenly bliss, Samadhi. Robbie decided at last to take a few months' leave from work and go to Puri to try to meditate more deeply. He sent one of his close friends ahead to find suitable accommodations close to Karar Ashram. Robbie's friend reached Puri at a time when it was less crowded and went near the seafront, where there were a few houses and hotels. When he arrived at Karar Ashram, he was met by an old monk. Before the friend had announced the purpose of his visit, the monk said, "You have come on the behest of Robbie to locate a suitable house for his residence? Don't worry. There is a well-furnished house on the south side of the ashram, and the caretaker of the house lives close by. Go to him, and if you tell him that you are from Karar Ashram, there will be no problem in renting it for him." Soon after, Robbie was on his way to Puri. The railway station at Puri is always crowded with temple priests and their agents trying to do business with pilgrims, offering to help them acquire accommodation for their stay in Puri and darshan in the Jagannath temple. Avoiding all of them, Robbie exited the station. He touched the holy sand of Puri. He put a little on his forehead and felt a thrilling sensation throughout his body. Then he hired a rickshaw to carry him away from the busy station toward Karar Ashram and the sea. It was the morning of June 12th, 1938, and Robbie's first view of the vast ocean made him intoxicated with love for God. Forgetting his luggage and all his valuables, he jumped out of the rickshaw and, heeding the call of the infinite to the soul of the young seeker, he ran towards the beach. He was thrilled to see the sea and was filled with divine ecstasy. He was mad for God and nature, which is nothing but divine manifestation. Robbie was like Sri Chaitanya, who looked at the blue sea and was reminded of his beloved Krishna. Many times he lost all sense of his surroundings, ran into the water, and had to be rescued by fishermen. This is divine love, the supreme intoxicant. A few days later, a truly remarkable event occurred. After evening meditation, Robbie and his friend were strolling on the terrace of the rented house, enjoying a cool sea breeze. From the terrace, though night was falling, they could still see the sea on one side of the house and the ashram and the faint moonlight on the other. Suddenly, Robbie saw Swami Sri Yukteswarji walking towards them in the ashram garden. Robbie was thrilled. His hair stood on end and he thought, "How great you are! You are an eternal teacher." Pointing to Sri Yukteswarji, he asked his friend, "Do you see someone in the garden?" The friend replied, "Yes, he is the old monk who gave me information about this house and its caretaker." Robbie informed him, "He is my beloved Gurudev, Swami Sri Yukteswarji." Incredulous, his friend replied, "What? You said earlier that your Guruji is no longer in his body." "Yes, that is correct," said Robbie. Frightened upon realizing he had encountered and conversed with the spirit of a dead man, the friend shouted, "Ghost!" and promptly fainted. Robbie struggled for quite some time to revive him. Every day Robbie visited Karar Ashram to pray, to meditate, and to spend time in the Samadhi temple of Sri Yukteswarji, which was then only a hut of straw and bamboo without any walls. During these months, Robbie also visited other ashrams and mathas to be in the company of monks and observe their activities. He was fortunate to be with divine personalities, such as Sri Anandamoyi Ma, the Blissful Mother, Nanga Baba, and many others. However, he was haunted by awareness that the year was coming to an end. Already 6 months are nearly over and the new year approaches, he thought to himself. The real purpose of coming here was to intensify my sadhana and to progress in the spiritual path. But I am again getting engrossed in the play of Maya in the company of people and fun. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that a spiritual seeker should avoid the unnecessary company of people and try to be in seclusion. Seclusion is the price of greatness. There is a purpose to be accomplished in life, and Robbie became determined to pursue his own. He had already met Swami Sevananda, who was in charge of Karar Ashram, and received his permission to live in the ashram in seclusion and silence. Owing to his regular visits to the ashram and his loving behavior, Robbie was already a welcome guest there. Swamiji was delighted with Robbie's choice. Robbie joined the Karar Ashram in the closing days of 1938. This day was not only an important day in Robbie's life, but must have been a day of great joy to his great Guru Sri Yukteswarji, who was able now to see his words come true. Robbie lived as a strict brahmachari, an ashramite, leaving behind his rich, aristocratic, fashionable lifestyle. He gave up all his Western clothes, suits and coats and hats. At first, he thought of giving them to poor people. Then he decided against it, for he felt it would create a desire in them for such luxuries, a desire which would lead to unhappiness. So, he piled all his material belongings in the southwest corner of the ashram and set fire to them, ceremonially ending the life that he had led since childhood. From that day on, he assumed the rigorous ways of a brahmachari, living in seclusion and contemplation. He was known as Brahmachari Robbie Narayan, or Robin Brahmachari. His clothing was white and his food was the simple food of the ashram. Most of his time he spent in meditation, but he also participated in all ashram activities. With the permission of Swami Sevananda and the help of hired labor, Robbie constructed bathrooms for the use of ashramites and cleared the ashram grounds all at his own expense during the first few days of his stay in the ashram. Because the ashram and the school were managed with very little money, only 2 meals per day were served without breakfast. With Swamiji's permission and also at his own expense, Robbie provided breakfast for all. He planted a garden and made tending it his daily duty. Brahmachari Robbie Narayan's love and service won the hearts of all the ashramites. While tending to his duties and learning a new language, Odia, to be able to communicate with people in the locality, Brahmachari Robi Narayan was making up his mind to take the vow of silence. Swami Sevanandaji tried to dissuade him from such an austere practice by describing how difficult it is. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that among all the secret knowledge, I am the silence. Outer silence can be a little easier, but to stay inwardly silent is extremely difficult. In both outer and inner silence, one can easily enter into the state of deep meditation, and this is what Brahmachari Robi Narayan wanted. In spite of his vow, he never neglected his participation in the ashram activities and gardening. During this period of silence, mauna, service, seva, and spiritual practice, sadhana, he received wonderful guidance from Swami Satyanandaji, Srimad Bhubendranath Sanyal Mahasaya, Anandomayi Ma, and many other spiritual personalities. Gradually, his meditation became deeper and more vibrant, his mind more and more absorbed in the super-conscious and cosmic conscious states. He had a beautiful aura and a peaceful countenance, with eyes radiating yogic brilliance. His white dress, wooden sandals, long hair and beard dramatically enhanced his stature as a celibate brahmachari. People worship God in different names and forms. Indian mythology contains many beautiful stories and prayers about personal gods and goddesses that convey deep metaphorical and metaphysical meanings. She is considered the loving mother who destroys all obstacles and leads a seeker into spiritual enlightenment. Brahmachari Robi Narayan's Ishta Devi, personal deity, was Mother Kali. An excellent artist, he constructed a beautiful 2-foot-tall statue of Mother Kali with clay and other materials. He painted his deity and installed it in a small room he used for daily formal worship or puja and meditation. At Puri and her seaside ashram, Mother Anandamoyi sat surrounded by a few dozen disciples, mostly women. From their room, the sea was visible on one side and the road leading to the ashram on the other. A young man clad in western dress with glasses and hat was slowly approaching the ashram. In the sunlight, his complexion dazzled like molten gold. He looked like a handsome European youth. "Look, look! My Sahib Baba is coming," exclaimed the mother, and everyone looked in that direction. Sahib was the common word used by Indians to refer to white gentlemen. Entering the ashram, the young man removed his shoes and hat. With love and devotion, he bowed down at the feet of the mother, the epitome of love, compassion, and joy. The young man attracted the attention of everyone, and all were surprised to learn he was not European, but a young Bengali named Robi. From the first day they met, he became the dearest child of the Holy Mother with the new name of Sahib Baba. Every time she visited Puri, she asked about him. She even encouraged Robi to stay with her in any of her ashrams if she wished. Her Sahib Baba was her son and she was the mother. Anandamoyi Ma was a mystic saint, a personification of divine love, an incarnation of the Divine Mother. She spent more than 8 decades of her life among us. Born in the year 1896 in an East Bengali Brahmin family, Mother Anandamoyi is known in the East and West for her simplicity, love, and states of divine ecstasy. Her childhood name was Nirmala Sundari, which means beauty of purity. Her parents lived the life of ancient saints and sages, and since birth, she knew her future. She remembered every incident in her life. She was always in soul consciousness. She trusted implicitly in the providence of God, and her love for God was unique. She lived her maxim, "Jo ho jaye," accept whatever comes. Unconditional surrender to God was the special characteristic of her life. Anandamoyi Ma was without ego and touched the hearts of all who came to her. When Paramhansa Yoganandaji visited India in 1935, He was delighted to spend time with this beautiful divine mother, a lady saint of the modern world. Whenever she visited Puri, she always remembered her Sahib Baba, whom she loved dearly. She would send a message to him announcing her arrival so that they could spend some time together. The memory of this great lady saint remained forever vibrant in Sahib Baba. For him, she was the epitome of divine love, purity, and egolessness. She firmly upheld India's spiritual heritage in the tradition of the rishis. She was the ideal of self-control for monks, and for husbands, an example of a perfect wife. She was the symbol of universal motherhood for all. Her teachings, her unconditional love, and her complete surrender to God still inspire seekers on the spiritual path. Swami Satyananda Giri was one of the most loving disciples of Swami Sri Yukteswarji. He was the boyhood companion of Paramhansa Yogananda, whom he addressed as Sakha Guru, friend who guides. Satyanandaji's pre-monastic name was Manmohan, and his love for humanity was evident in his behavior even from the early age of 6 or 7. He never accepted discrimination based on caste, social status, or religion. Manmohan perceived the presence of God in all. Manmohan met Mukunda Lal, later known as Paramhansa Yogananda, when he was 11 years old. Their meeting was a divine coincidence, and their friendship became a bond strengthened by love, spirituality, yoga, meditation, and service to humanity. They both took vows of celibacy and renunciation, and dedicated their time to physical exercise, study of scriptures, meditation, chanting, singing devotional songs, and serving the poor. In March 1919, with blessings of Swami Sri Yukteswarji, he was initiated into the monastic order and came to be known as Swami Satyananda Giri. Satyananda literally means bliss of truth. His hard work resulted in the establishment of 2 great institutions. One was the Ranchi Brahmacharya Vidyalaya, a residential school for youth, and Seva Yatan Satsang Mission, an institution of service, charity, and spirituality in a remote area of Jhargram, Bengal. From 1936, Swami Satyanandaji was the acting head of Karar Ashram, and occasionally visited there to monitor the ashram's activities and spend some time in silence and rest. Noticing Brahmachari Robi Narayan's sincerity in spiritual practices, he was extremely pleased. He knew this young man's background and was happy to see a sincere seeker striving seriously for speedy spiritual growth. In 1941, he initiated Brahmachari Robi Narayan into the 3rd Kriya. After a period of long silence and meditation, Brahmachari Robi Narayan became constantly merged in the ocean of cosmic consciousness and divine bliss, a great delight for his guru Swami Satyanandaji. The two felt great love for each other. Brahmachari Robi Narayan's sincerity in spiritual practice and ashram management, his pleasing personality and self-disciplined life brought joy to Swami Satyanandaji. Every year, the foundation day of Karar Ashram was celebrated on a grand scale. Kriyavan disciples came from many different places to participate in this grand function on the vernal equinox day of March 22nd, and to pay homage to the great Kriya Yoga Master Swami Sri Yukteswar. One year, Swami Satyanandaji planned a surprise. He announced in Puri that a great yogi would give a discourse at the Karar Ashram on its foundation day. Brahmachari Robi Narayan, still maintaining silence, wrote a note to Swami Satyanandaji asking, "Gurudev, who is the monk coming today to grace the occasion?" Satyanandaji replied, "Please wait. You will see him during the function. He is a yogi of high spiritual attainment." On that day, after Arati in the holy Samadhi Mandir of Sri Yukteswarji, the Satsang program commenced. Several hundred devotees, disciples and visitors had come to see the great yogi. Swami Satyanandaji announced, Dear divine souls, you are all eager and anxious to see the yogi, but you do not know that in this holy ashram of Sri Yukteswarji is a young sadhaka who has been observing silence and meditating for years. He is not an ordinary young man. He is highly spiritual, and today he will narrate his experience of meditation. Sri Lahiri Mahasaya, the fountainhead of Kriya Yoga in this age, proved that one can be an exemplary family man and at the same time an accomplished yogi. Sri Sanyal Mahasaya was born on the 28th of January 1877 in the hamlet called Sadhanpara, literally meaning the place of spiritual practice, in the district of Nadia, Bengal, situated on the banks of the Ganga. When he was 2 years old, Sri Sanyal Mahasaya's mother passed away, so most of his childhood was spent with his maternal uncle and his elder sister's husband, who took care of him and his education. From childhood, he was always honest, truthful, sincere, loving, and full of joyous spirit. He never wasted time and believed in the saying, "Time and tide wait for no man." He spent his leisure time reading the holy scriptures, and being born to a Brahmin family, he availed himself of the spiritual environment. His sacred thread ceremony was performed in the year 1890 at age 13. At that time, he was initiated into the Gayatri Mantra, a holy Vedic mantra of 24 Sanskrit letters, which he practiced sincerely. On the 23rd of June 1893, Sri Lahiri Mahasaya initiated him into the holy Kriya path at his residence in Varanasi. In a short period, he advanced rapidly in his Kriya practice, and although he was very young, Sri Lahiri Mahasaya allowed him to teach Kriya. He became the youngest Acharya in the Kriya Yoga tradition. He also had a strong passion to become a monk, but his destiny was different. In 1898, at the age of 21, he married Srimati Kali Dasi Devi, a devout and pious lady. He continued his spiritual practice after his marriage despite many family problems. In 1902, Sri Sanyal Mahasaya experienced the state of self-realization and was recognized as an accomplished yogi. His meditation, regular worship, spiritual study, and spiritual discussions continued as usual. Sri Sanyal Mahasaya was a close associate of the poet Rabindranath Tagore, who later won the Nobel Prize for Literature, and worked with him from 1902 to 1909 in the institution Brahmacharya Vidyalaya, which later became the famous Shanti Niketan University. In 1910, he went to Puri in Odisha for the first time. The holy atmosphere of this place of pilgrimage attracted him. He visited Puri many times after that and finally established an ashram called Guru Dham, meaning the abode of the Guru, where he settled. On the ashram premises in a small, beautiful temple, he installed a lovely marble statue of his beloved Gurudev, Yogi Raj Sri Lahiri Mahasaya. He was blessed with 2 sons and 4 daughters, and in this ashram, he continued to live with his family. Sri Sanyal Mahasaya attracted hundreds of true seekers and initiated them into the path of Kriya Yoga. The Guru Dham of Sri Sanyal Mahasaya was only a few hundred yards away from the Karar ashram. One, the ashram of a householder Kriya Yogi, and the other, of a renunciate Kriya Yogi. During the period when Brahmachari Robi Narayan observed silence in Karar ashram, he learned of this great householder yogi and did not miss the opportunity to avail himself of this divine company. Sanyal Mahasaya accepted Brahmachari Robi Narayan as a disciple because of his sincere and serious Kriya practice. Prior to meeting Sanyal Mahasaya, Brahmachari Robi Narayan had been initiated into 3rd Kriya by Swami Satyananda. It seemed that Robi Narayan was destined to be guided into the different steps of Kriya by various realized yogis. From 1943 to 1945, Sanyal Mahasaya taught him all the higher Kriyas, 4th, 5th and 6th Kriyas. Brahmachari Robi Narayan spent a lot of time with his beloved Gurudev, a householder, but a renowned yogi. On the 18th of January 1962, Sanyal Mahasaya entered Mahasamadhi at his main ashram in Bhagalpur, Bihar. His 85 years of life were years of compassionate detachment. He lived like an ancient rishi in modern times, and he had a great influence on Robbie Narayan. Amongst all the Kriya masters from whom Robbie Narayan learned Kriya, he spent the longest period of time with Sanyal Mahasaya. This divine Guru's role in Robbie Narayan's spiritual journey was unique and unparalleled. Although Brahmachari Robbie Narayan stayed in silence and seclusion at the ashram most of the time, he never missed the opportunity to be in the company of other monks and holy men who accelerated his spiritual progress. At the extreme southwest corner of Puri, near the temple of Lord Loknath, there lived a famous monk on a sandhill called Girnari Banta. He was a tall, naked monk, popularly known as Nanga Baba and also as Digambar Paramhansa. His life and activities were mysterious. Many people believed that he was the same as Totapuri, the divine guru of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa of Dakshineshwar, who enabled him to attain the Samadhi state. Nanga Baba lived in his physical body for about 250 years, and the last 50 years of his life were spent in Puri. During these years, there was no visible change in his physical body. Most of the time, he was absorbed in the state of non-dual Brahman, sometimes with eyes open and sometimes closed. He rarely spoke. Sometimes his behavior and talk seemed rude, but he was teaching great lessons of life. Someone once asked him, "What is your age?" He replied, "Self-realized soul is beyond birth and life. I was not born, so how can I tell my age?" Brahmachari Robbie Narayan occasionally visited this ashram to sit silently and meditate in his divine presence. Just as a goldsmith knows the quality of gold, this monk knew Brahmachari Robbie Narayan's thirst for God and was always delighted to see him. Sometimes he said in Hindi, "Beta, my child, if you have some questions, please ask." One day Brahmachari Robbie Narayan asked, "Baba, I have a question in my mind about the creation of the universe. The Taittiriya Upanishad says, 'In the beginning there was nothing but Brahman, the Absolute.' Through inner contemplation, Brahman thought of creation and became many. So through meditation, from the self came space, then air, fire, water, and earth. My doubt is, when water was created before the earth, what was the support for the water?" The naked monk laughed loudly, his body vibrating with joy. Then he said, "Beta, abhi tak shrishti nahi hua hai. My child, until now, the creation has not taken place." Hearing this, the young brahmachari was surprised, and he listened very attentively to his every word. The monk continued, "You have seen the brinjal, eggplant hanging on the plant? Each seed inside is dreaming of being a plant and bearing new flowers and fruits. Similarly, we are all the seeds in the divine womb of Brahman. As the seed dreams of a new plant, each one is dreaming of creation. There is no creation, it is a dream." Then he said, "Fire was created before water, and it took thousands of years for water to come down through repeated evaporation, and this process resulted in sedimentation. This was how the earth was formed." Another visitor who was sincerely trying to grow spiritually asked, "Baba, how can one be free from ego?" The monk replied, "There are two ways. First, consider this universe to be a dream and unreal. Follow the path of renunciation and non-attachment and be a karma sannyasi. Follow the path of renunciation in action. Second, consider the universe to be the manifestation of the divine and work without expectation." This mysterious monk with miraculous powers was never seen going to any temple. He was searching for God in the inner chambers of his own self. After living for several centuries in the physical body, he entered into the state of Mahasamadhi on August 24th, 1962. His body was buried inside the ashram premises where a beautiful temple was constructed. The name of the ashram is Advaita Brahma Ashram, Girnari Banta. Even today, the ashram remains charged with spiritual vibrations. It looks like a small sandhill decorated with many plants and trees and a few cottages. Many pilgrims and visitors come to spend a few moments in seclusion and silence. Sometimes Brahmachari Robi Narayan meditated on the outskirts of Puri, where there were two beautiful forests. One was near Tota Gopinath, an ancient Krishna temple, and another was Ketaki Jhar. Even though these forests were home to hundreds of monkeys, they were calm and quiet places. Robi Narayan left early in the morning taking food and water, and meditated the whole day, returning to the ashram late in the evening. During this period of intense sadhana, Brahmachari Robi Narayan enjoyed both visible and invisible help from the divine. Once, while he was meditating and observing silence in his closed room, somebody shouting like a madman knocked on the door. When Brahmachariji opened the door, a strange sight confronted him. Although the stranger's dress and appearance suggested a madman, his face and eyes radiated inner peace and love. Then, the mysterious yogi said he was hungry. Brahmachari Robi Narayan offered him a plate of sweets made of milk and sugar. He accepted them, and holding them before the statue of Saraswati, casually addressed her. "Eat, eat." His words were neither a mantra nor a formal prayer, but when he spoke them, two rays of sweet smoke, like the kind arising from a burning incense stick, swirled out of the eyes of the Saraswati statue and settled onto the plate. The phenomenon astonished Brahmachari Robi Narayan, who quickly realized that his visitor was no ordinary man, but an extraordinary man in disguise. People with a little spiritual prowess may flaunt it for name, fame, and public applause, but often advanced yogis shun publicity. They move incognito throughout the world. Robi Narayan's visitor was one such holy man, who then gave him some practical instructions in spiritual life to help him achieve realization. The strange monk taught Robi Narayan some intricacies of meditation and spiritual life. He invited Robi Narayan to come to visit him, and several times he did. Nothing else is known concerning the whereabouts of this mysterious holy man, but his presence in Robi Narayan's life was no doubt a divine blessing. Along the way, Brahmachari Robi Narayan knew many inner experiences and the taste of different stages of samadhi. During the years of 1944 to 1945, he was freed from the turmoil of lower centers, chakras, and became more absorbed in the super-conscious state. The period from 1945 to 1948 was the most significant in his spiritual life. Once, while he was meditating in his closed room at the Puri ashram, he entered into a deep state. His body slowly fell over and lay near the window. His head bled from an injury inflicted by the fall. The blood was flowing under the door, and outside crows were drinking the fresh blood. When Swami Satyanandaji saw the crows and blood, he came outside and saw that the blood was coming from Brahmachari Robi Narayan's room. Forcing the locked door open, he observed the body of Brahmachari Robi Narayan on the ground. He felt no pulse, but the body was not cold, so he massaged the soles of Brahmachariji's feet, the palms of his hands, and his chest to bring him back to his senses. On another occasion, Brahmachari Robi Narayan had gone to Ketaki Jhar forest to meditate. He usually came back to the ashram before dark, but on that day he did not return. A resident student of the ashram went to the forest in search of him, carrying a light and calling loudly, "Brahmachariji, Brahmachariji!" His own voice echoed in the dark silence, but no reply came from Brahmachari Robi Narayan. After a long search, the student finally found Brahmachariji's body leaning against a tree, looking almost dead and showing no sign of breath or pulse. Frightened, The student prodded the body while shouting in panic, "Brahmachari ji!" Much to his relief, Brahmachari ji gradually regained body consciousness and opened his eyes. As if awakening from a long sleep, he said, "Where am I?" In a little while he regained complete consciousness, but he was unable to walk unassisted. Only with the physical support of this strong young man did he manage to return to the ashram that night. This was how Brahmachari Robinarayan attained the extremely rare state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In the yogic scriptures, it is said that after attaining Nirvikalpa Samadhi, very few return to physical consciousness. Only a blessed few come back as God's instruments to lead other seekers on the spiritual path to fulfill His divine mission. After 1948, through deep meditation, he was able to reach this stage of Samadhi at any time he wished. In the history of modern saints and sages, Ramakrishna Paramhansa, Lahiri Mahasaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar Ji, and Paramhansa Yogananda Ji were also able to experience this state at will. In the Vedic literature it is said, Brahmavid Brahmayava Bhavati. The knower of Brahman is Brahman. One who has penetrated into the veil of nature's meadows and perceived the elusive dance of Maya is always absorbed in the ocean of bliss. The pure mind always anchors at Brahmarandhra, the door of the divine, also known as Sahasrara, the fontanelle in the crown of the head. Once this closed door is opened, it is open forever, enabling one always to be charged with divine consciousness and supernormal power. Every Kriyavan knows a strong desire for a vision of the cherished great Guru, Sri Babaji Maharaj, the deathless yogi of incomprehensible glory. In 1949, Brahmachari Robinarayan was deeply engrossed in meditation in his closed room at Karar Ashram when, suddenly, the room was lit with an unusual glow. Brahmachari ji opened his eyes to behold Babaji Maharaj standing silently beside him. He had broad shoulders and large eyes, and his hair and forehead were covered with a cloth. Brahmachari Robinarayan could not believe his eyes and wondered if he might be dreaming. He gazed on this mysterious stranger, wondering who he might be and how he could have entered a locked room. He did not recognize Babaji because no one can unless the deathless Guru reveals himself. Advancing a few steps, Babaji Maharaj closed the eyes of Brahmachari ji with a soft touch of his holy fingers. The touch brought a flood of light, and when he opened his eyes again, there was no one in the room. Awestruck, Brahmachari ji heard his heart's reply to this anxious query. That must have been Sri Babaji Maharaj. As the truth dawned on him, tears rolled down his face and he thought, how ignorant I am. O beloved Guru, you came physically, you were here, stood by me and smiled at me, touched and blessed me with grace, but I did not recognize you. I did not touch your feet or offer you a seat. I did not serve you or talk with you. What a fool I am. His sorrow brought more tears to his eyes and he cried aloud. Overhearing this grief, Swami Sevananda asked if he had broken his silence. Without replying, Robinarayan opened the door and went straight into his small meditation and puja room where the idol of Mother Kali was installed. Closing the doors from within, he prayed with deep love to the Divine Mother and beloved Guru Maharaj. Again Sri Babaji Maharaj appeared in this small closed room, touched the head of Robinarayan and blessed him. Why so impatient, he asked. I am satisfied with your sadhana. Babaji Maharaj's touch again sent him into the superconscious realm of peace, tranquility and brilliant effulgence. Brahmachari Robinarayan touched his head to the holy feet of the great Guru. Babaji said, I am glad for your achievements, but remember, there is no end to meditation. The deeper you dive, the richer you emerge, for new realms unfold in succession. While sticking to meditation tenaciously, you will also reveal in profound Kriya to others. I bless you and empower you to propagate Kriya. Your touch will give divine revelation to the seeking souls. Now, I will take leave of you. Don't follow me now. Continue meditating deeply. This special appearance and blessing of the immortal yogi Sri Babaji Maharaj inspired and encouraged Brahmachari ji to continue meditating even more intensely. After the Mahasamadhi of Sri Yukteswar ji, Paramhansa Yogananda became the head of Karar Ashram, but Swami Satyananda served as acting head in the absence of Yogananda ji for a time. After initiating Brahmachari Sudhir into monastic life with the name of Swami Sevananda, Yogananda ji appointed him as the Swami in charge of the ashram, the Acharya of Karar Ashram. Swami Sevananda continued in this capacity until 1950. He helped Brahmachari Robinarayan in every respect. During his sadhana from 1938 to 1948, Brahmachari Robinarayan also looked after the development of Karar Ashram, his holy abode of spiritual practice and realization. He managed the Yukteswar Vidyapeeth, a school for children. In his leisure time, he taught them English grammar. Brahmachari Robinarayan corresponded regularly with his beloved guru and guide Paramhansa Yogananda. Yogananda ji was aware of his disciples' progress. In the year 1950, he appointed Brahmachari Robinarayan to succeed Swami Sevananda as the Acharya of Karar Ashram. Acharya means one who is rector and preceptor of an ashram, who guides others on the spiritual path, initiating true seekers through his exemplary character and behavior. Following his appointment, Brahmachari Robinarayan took an active role in the ashram, completely transforming it. The ashram had no boundary walls, the grounds were overgrown with thorny bushes, and the Samadhi site of Sri Yukteswar ji was still a hut open to the air. Moreover, the ashram was not financially sound. Brahmachari Robinarayan wrote to Paramhansa Yogananda ji about the situation. Encouraged by Brahmachari ji's constructive outlook, Yogananda ji sent funds to construct the Samadhi shrine for Sri Yukteswar ji. In 1951, under the direct supervision of Brahmachari ji and with the help of Paramhansa Yogananda's younger brother Sananda Lal Ghosh, popularly known as Gora, a beautiful temple with a blooming lotus on the top was built for Sri Yukteswar ji as his Samadhi site. Brahmachari ji commissioned a beautiful marble carving of Swami Sri Yukteswar ji in a meditative pose to be made in Banaras and installed in this temple. To this day, the temple is still charged with strong spiritual vibrations. The name of the locality was Swargadwar, meaning the door to heaven. In a short time, Karar Ashram became a place of vibrant beauty, a real Swargadwar. Realizing the need for a teacher of Kriya Yoga in the ashram and knowing the spiritual attainment of Brahmachari Robinarayan, Paramhansa Yogananda empowered him to teach Kriya Yoga to sincere seekers in the year 1951. From that time onward, Robinarayan worked tirelessly for the spiritual advancement of the disciples on the spiritual path. Paramhansa Yogananda ji, planning to visit India in 1952, wrote to his friend and brother monk Swami Satyananda ji concerning his upcoming trip. He also wrote to his younger brother Sananda Lal Ghosh, Gorada, that he wanted to see his beloved Guru's newly transformed Karar Ashram. However, his trip was not to be. In March 1952, Brahmachari Robinarayan had a strange vision while meditating during a visit to his parents in Habibpur. He described it to his learned father, who said that it foretold the physical departure of a great Guru. Consequently, Brahmachari ji immediately left for Puri. As soon as he reached the ashram, he heard news of the Mahasamadhi of Paramhansa Yogananda, which occurred on March 7th. Acharya Shankara was the reformer of Sanatan Dharma, the lifestyle based on God consciousness. He emphasized the need to shift from too much ritualistic practice to a more philosophical understanding. In his 32 years of life, He traveled all over India and revived interest in the lost spiritual practice, authored commentaries on the major Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras and the Bhagavad Gita, along with 62 books on spiritual life and several hymns and prayers, all written in Sanskrit. He established 4 peeths or branches of Sanatan Dharma in 4 corners of India. Jyotish Peeth had Badrinath in the north, Govardhana Peeth had Jagannath Puri in the east, Sringeri Peeth had Sringeri in the south, and Sharda Peeth at Dwarka in the west. These 4 peeths are entrusted with safeguarding the spiritual heritage. The heads of these 4 peeths are known as Jagat Guru Shankaracharyas. The Shankaracharya Mutt of Puri is located between Karar Ashram and Guru Dham of Sanyal Mahasaya. Brahmachari Robi Narayan, when visiting Guruji Sri Sanyal Mahasaya, went one day to see this great reputed saint, His Holiness Swami Bharti Krishna Tirtha. Robi Narayan bowed prostrate at his feet in devotion and reverence. The golden complexion of this young brahmachari with eyes full of love, knowledge and yogic power intrigued the Swami. He asked, "What is your name?" Brahmachari ji replied, "Robi Narayan." "What is your family name?" "Robindranath Bhattacharya." "Bhattacharya, Bhattanam Acharya. Acharya, the teacher of the hamlet. Your family is a guru family, is it not?" Then he asked, "Where are you from?" "From the district of Nadia in Bengal." His Holiness Jagat Guru continued, "Oh, then you are the second Gauranga of Nadia." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a 15th century saint considered a divine incarnation, was also from Nadia, and because of his very fair complexion was known as Gauranga. His life was exemplary. Always intoxicated with love for God, he melted the hearts of people all over the country. He lived most of his life in the city of Puri. His Holiness Shankaracharya was a versatile genius, fluent in the scriptures, proficient in many languages, and thoroughly knowledgeable of astrology. So Brahmachari ji visited him frequently, studying scriptures under his guidance. He became an ardent disciple, serving Jagat Guruji in all possible ways. One morning in 1956, Brahmachari ji was meditating in the Samadhi temple of Sri Yukteswar ji at Karar Ashram when he saw a brilliant light moving around him. It lingered in front of him for some time and then disappeared. Brahmachari ji opened his eyes. Convinced that this was the omen of his father's death, he informed the ashramites. At 11 a.m., as they were about to eat lunch, a messenger who was a disciple of Brahmachari ji from the district police headquarters came to the ashram. Facing him, Brahmachari ji asked, "Do you have any special or urgent message for me?" The messenger answered, "You please finish your lunch, I will wait." Brahmachari ji asked, "Did you bring the news of my father's death?" The police officer was surprised that he knew. Immediately, Brahmachari ji left for his parents' home. His father's death was a great shock to his mother, who lost consciousness for several days. Nevertheless, with love and care, Robi Narayan managed to bring her back to her senses again. Mother Nobin Kali wanted to go to Puri to live with her youngest son. He did not hesitate to have her there because he wanted to do his duty as a son, even though he had renounced family life. Just as her husband Haripada predicted, she lived for 8 years after his death. She lived simply, purely and lovingly. In a conscious state, she left her body in 1964 in her village home of Habibpur. Her beloved son, even though a Swami with monastic restriction, did not hesitate to participate in the death ceremony of this divine lady, whose life was full of love and service. He considered his mother an incarnation of the Divine Mother. Robi Narayan's 20 years of brahmachari life ended on Wednesday, May 27, 1959. Consulting the Indian calendar, Jagat Guru Shankaracharya chose the 13th day of Vaishakha as the day for Robi Narayan's initiation into monastic life. Before taking sannyasa from this renowned monk, Brahmachari ji asked his guru for many details about monastic life and its restrictions. The great guru replied, "A monk should always be humble and God-conscious. He should not have the slightest sense of greed or lust. When he accepts the sacred robe of ochre color, a symbol of fire in the body, he should be free from body consciousness and always merged in the divine. A monk should spend his time in spiritual practice, meditation, self-study, and study of holy scriptures. The monk should always manifest universal love." The initiation ceremony took place in Sri Yukteswar Ji's temple at Karar Ashram. Jagat Guru Bharti Krishna initiated him on behalf of Swami Sri Yukteswar with the monastic name of Giri. He directed Robi Narayan not to shave his head. Though it was traditional to shave the head and perform many ritualistic ceremonies, this was unnecessary, since Robi Narayan had already lived the life of brahmachari in the ashram for more than 20 years. At the end of the sannyasa ceremony, the Guru gives the robe, staff, and name to the initiate. Jagat Guru Bharti Krishna gave Robi Narayan the monastic name of Swami Hariharananda Giri. Swami is a title conferred on a monk, and Giri is one of the 10 orders of the Guru-disciple monks chosen by Adi Shankaracharya. The name Hariharananda consists of 3 words, Hari, Hara, and Ananda. Hari and Hara are 2 aspects of the Divine Trinity, sustenance and dissolution of the universe, and Ananda is bliss. Jagat Guru Shankaracharya remarked further, "Your father is the first Guru who initiated you. His name begins with Hari, and all yogis, gurus and monks are revered like Shiva, Hara. Through your life of sadhana, you brought joy into the lives of your parents and your gurus. So your name is Hari, Hara, Ananda. Although people think that Puri is the abode only of Jagannath, who is Hari, Lord Shiva Hara is equally worshipped here. Your love for both Hari and Hara, which is Ananda, bliss. There is a deeper meaning still to these 3 syllables, Ha, Ra, and E. Hakara Pingala Varna, Sarva Varna Varottama, Rakara Tejo Varnasyat, Ikara Shakti Dayaka. Ha represents the supreme color of the rising sun, Ra is the brilliance of the flame, and E the source of energy. These 3 syllables combined together, Ha, Ra, E, is Hari. Hara is Hara, and Ananda is bliss, or Hariharananda, which means the state of divine bliss arising in the real formless state. Then the Guru continued, "Renounce the life of Brahmana and Brahmachari. Now, you are a Swami in the Vedic tradition and a follower of Sri Shankaracharya." On his first day as Swami Hariharananda, he begged for food from the nearby sweepers' colony, a group of untouchables, the lowest of all castes in Indian society. Swamiji was already known to the colony for his charitable work and meditation. On this special day, Swami Hariharananda stood in front of a sweeper's house to beg for food. All the local people assembled to witness this beautiful scene. With tears in her eyes, the woman of the house brought food in her hands, offering it with devotion. From this day onwards, His Holiness Swami Bharti Krishna became Hariharananda's sannyasa guru. Even after becoming a monk, Hariharananda never missed the opportunity to serve his beloved Guru. The Jagat Guru wanted to appoint his beloved Swami Hariharananda as successor to this ancient mutt and to the most respected position of Shankaracharya. It was no doubt a rare opportunity and a great blessing of the Guru, but Swami Hariharananda, a free soul, humbly declined, saying, "Gurudev, you know my life is fully dedicated to the service of my Guru, Swami Sri Yukteswar. The position of Shankaracharya demands restricted activities, numerous ritualistic practices and protocol. I am to serve my Guruji best by staying at Karar Ashram and maintaining the tradition of Kriya Yoga. Please excuse me for not being able to accept." The loving Guru understood the mind and heart of his disciple and so accepted his decision. His Holiness Jagat Guru Shankaracharya Bharati Krishna Tirtha left this mortal body on the 2nd of February 1960 in Mumbai. His departure was a great loss to his loving disciple, Swami Hariharananda. From 1948 onwards, Swami Hariharananda suffered low blood pressure, and towards the middle of 1958, the condition became acute, leaving him seriously ill and bedridden. From his astrological chart, he knew that this would be the worst period of his life, and he suspected it might even be the end. On the night of 27 September 1958, as he lay in bed, he prayed to the Divine Mother. No prayer goes unanswered, for God is full of compassion. The Divine Mother Kali appeared before him in her holy effulgence. The entire room was full of light. He narrated later, beautiful aromatic fragrance spread all around. Her charming smile was clearly visible through a condensed mass of blue light surrounding her. She raised a hand towards him and said, "You will be all right, my child. You will live to fulfill the mission for which you have come here. However, you will have to suffer a little more, but have patience. I am with you always." The vision faded, but Hariharananda ji eventually regained strength. After a few days, the ailment disappeared. Swamiji's divine powers were frequently apparent among those at the ashram as well as abroad among strangers. A true philanthropist, he kept many poor and helpless orphan children in the ashram and took loving care of them. Even when the financial condition of the ashram was not good, he helped these children in every way possible. One evening, all the children came to Swamiji and inquired, "We want sandesh, a special Indian sweet tomorrow. Can you give it?" He consented without a second thought. Then they said, "We will eat sandesh for breakfast, lunch and dinner. We will not take any rice or anything else, only sandesh." Swamiji prayed to God about his promise to the children, for he realized there was in fact not enough money to provide sandesh. In the morning, as he entered his meditation room where the idol of Mother Kali resided, all the children of the ashram ran towards him to remind him of last night's promise. Swamiji smiled and said, "Please, all of you meditate outside until I finish my worship." He closed the door and became absorbed in meditation. He prayed to the Divine Mother for the children. Hearing someone knock on the door, he regained normal consciousness. Opening the door, he saw an old lady who lived in the neighborhood. She stood with a big metal plate of sweets covered by a new piece of cloth, and she held a metal cup of water. Swamiji was surprised, but according to custom, he took the plate from her hand and offered the sweets to the Divine Mother through the appropriate ritual. Afterwards, taking a few of the sweets from the plate, he started to return the rest to the lady, but she said, No, please do not do that. All these sweets are for you, including the plate and glass. Only give me back a few sweets for my family." When questioned why, she narrated her previous night's dream of the Divine Mother, who instructed her to bring sweets to the ashram. The children outside were overjoyed to have the sweets, while Swamiji shed tears of gratitude and love for the Mother Divine.
एको देवो सर्वभूतेषु गूढ़ः सर्वव्यापी सर्वभूति अंतरात्मा कर्माध्यक्षम केवलम कर्माध्यक्षम केवलम सर्वांतर्यामी साक्षी चेता केवलम निर्गुणश्च. One heavenly father, he was alone. He was not happy. It was his desire that he will be many. So he thought how to make creation. And after creating the whole universe, he entered into the creation. And he is abiding in every human being, hiding himself. The baby has the softest place on the fontanelle. Through that place he entered into every human being, hiding there. So by the practice of this, the third posture of the second technique, that will give you complete cleanliness in the brain. It will be pure and perfect. You will only feel emptiness, that is formless stage, which is the ultimate goal of all religions. If you read so many spiritual books, you will be foolish, idiot. It will be load to your brain. This person is telling one thing, this person is telling another thing, that person is telling another thing. So you are bewildered. Come to the driver, sit by the side, he will teach you, and you can drive motor car. Is it not? If you only read book, you cannot drive motor car. If you go in the restaurant and see the menu which is written there, committed to your memory, your belly will not be fulfilled. You will get more appetite, more thirst. If you know just now, then your life will be fulfilled. Yochet no vedit mohati vinasti. If you don't seek self, then it is your great loss, because you are not an animal being, you are rational being, you are divine being, you are God in human being. You are not to bring God from the church, mosque, or from the temple. Power of God is remaining within you. Jesus also said that ye know that your body is not the temple of God, but you should know God dwells within you. So the power of God is remaining in every human being. If you practice this Kriya Yoga technique, you will get physical change, mental change, intellectual change, and all-round change. You will never get headache, you will never get heart pain, you will never get stomach pain, you will get prompt understanding, ready wit, quickest decision, your memory will be sharp. It is for all persons, even for the students. Is it not? I am telling that we are the children of one Heavenly Father. His imperishable life energy pervades all over our body cells. Atoms, tissues, diaphragm, skin, flesh, bone, marrow. And every 1 hour our cells are changing. Our whole formation, even the skin, it is changing. But we are not changing our bad habits. Anger, pride, cruelty. It is the ancient yoga that in each country makes a distinct contribution to world culture. America has specialized in the industrial expansion, German in mechanical science, France in art, Italy in music. But India, from time immemorial, they are ever specialized in the science of soul. That is yoga. I am coming from the long distance. I was in India. I am 75 years old now. I was there in India up to 74. I felt that in the Western people are getting everything. Their prosperity, peace, pleasures of senses, every happiness, tip-top condition.
Every material
but only material peace and material achievement, only eat, drink and be merry, they think. But eating, drinking and merrymaking is not possible until God is pulling inhalation. So
I need to ask you this question. People are watching and they're saying, but I breathe all the time. I breathe when I sleep, I breathe when I walk, I breathe when I work, I breathe with, when I talk. They feel that they are already breathing. How is the technique of Kriya Yoga different than our breathing?
I am telling about the breath. This is not the original breath. In our every natural breath, we are taking 20% oxygen.
Only 20%?
Only 20%, of which 4% oxygen is going in the brain. It is why our brain is fertile. And 16% of the oxygen is going to purify the impure blood. And that blood is transformed into hemoglobin. Hemo means 16 chemicals: potassium, sodium, magnesium, zinc, phosphorus, copper, sulfur, iron, etc. And globin means 3 liquid protein: albumin, globulin, fibrinogen. They are going through our body. So we are taking long, deep breath. When we sleep, on that time we take long, deep breath like this. I am only demonstrating. We are taking breath like that. When we sleep, on that time we take this type of breath, long breath, for 7-8 hours.
And that's
on
when
that
we
time,
rejuvenate.
We get no anger, no pride, no avarice, no greediness, no passion, no sorrow, nothing. We are only sleeping. And in the morning when you are getting up, our power regenerates and rejuvenates, we get fresh energy. Kriya Yoga is based on that type of inhalation. Jesus said that you are born of the flesh, so you are after the flesh. You are only after money, sex and food. But you are to come up from the lower center to the upper center, and gradually you will come to the top. Jesus said you are to born from above through water and spirit. Our soul is remaining there. Soul is pulling inhalation. So with the breath control, we can change our disposition and we can perceive in every moment. When you are earning money, you will feel God is earning money. When anybody is enjoying sexually, you will feel God is enjoying sexually. You are getting hunger, a dead man is not getting hunger. God is giving hunger to you, God is digesting food. So when you are taking food, you have to perceive God. By the practice of Kriya Yoga, you are bending your body, and through that power, your whole body system, inside the intestines, you have the big gland, liver. You are giving pressure over the liver in this way, and after that, you are stretching your leg in the front and you are bending your whole body and touching your head on the ground, keeping the head stiff. So your both nostrils are made only to know God. That is,
and we have to remember, I know that your technique looked very easy. This was just a
it is
small
very
demonstration.
easy. There is no hardship.
And the breathing goes along with it.
Yes.
And we've run out of time.
We require 5,000 cc oxygen daily, but we are not getting it.
Yeah,
By
we
the
need to
practice of Kriya Yoga,
breathing more.
we are taking more breath, and through this our body will be lustrous. You see my body, I am 75.
Oh, you're wonderful.
Whole day I am working. I am working 16, 17 hours a day, and I don't feel tired. So I am telling this is scientific technique, because it depends upon long deep breath. Thank you.
Who founded Kriya Yoga? Where did that come from?
The founder, the God, brought the supreme mystery of Kriya Yoga with his creation. He is the founder.
I love it, I love it.
Do you follow me?
Yes, I do.
In ancient
yes.
time, some thousands and thousands, 100,000 years ago, on that time, there was no Jesus, no Moses, Daniel, Ibrahim, no Krishna, no Rama. There was no books, no Bible, no Torah, no Patanjali, Brahma Sutra, no Quran. Only there was one thing, that is Kriya Yoga technique. I am telling that Kriya Yoga is not any ism, not Hinduism, not Christianism, not Buddhism. On that time only human race was there, human being. And they were practicing the breath control, that is Kriya Yoga. And through that they are getting extreme calmness, and that is godliness. But Kriya Yoga, there is speciality the speciality is there in Kriya Yoga, that is, as the sun rises, immediately the darkness disappears. The soul is called the real sun. The sun has got no importance if I cannot take breath. So soul is the real sun. When we perceive soul in our body, then our ignorance, all troubles, worries, anxieties, frustration, will disappear. Our anger, pride, cruelty, insincerity will disappear. We will get constant alertness of the inner self. We can change our life force into radiant, all-accomplishing divine force, which in turn hastens your physical change, mental change and intellectual change. The Kriya Yoga will teach simultaneous development of body, mind, intellect and soul by the scientific technique of Kriya Yoga. The Kri, the soul, is doing work. It is based on deep, long scientific breath. Breath control is self-control. Breath mastery is self-mastery. If you control your breath, then you can control yourself. This is Kriya Yoga, is that type of breath. But I tell that the realized yogi who has penetrated behind the veil of nature's splendors and who has really perceived the veil, also penetrated behind the veil of all religions and have really reached to calmness, to the knowledge, consciousness, superconsciousness and cosmic consciousness, they will really perceive and they can infuse the power to persons and they can purify their body. And within a short period, within 4 minutes time, there are 4 techniques, within 4 minutes time, the power will come up from the lower center to the upper center. In the drum of milk, if you churn the milk, then whole cream will come up on the top. Again, you cannot mix up. Similarly, the human body is full of delusion, illusion and error. By the practice of Kriya Yoga, you can remove your delusion, illusion and error, and you can perceive the power of God is giving a delusion, illusion and error. Then automatically you will remain in the family and you can perceive God in your every step of your life.
Hello, welcome, welcome. I'm very happy that you all have come here. So glad. Come here, sit down, sit down. This is the ashram for your soul culture, for God realization. So many mangoes are there. You see the mangoes. Is it not very nice? Love God, thank God. Be God. So, through this human being, if he remains in the material world, at the same time on the spiritual world, with a short breath that seek the Supreme Almighty Lord, who is hiding on the top of the head, and he is doing every work to the mankind. If they feel it, then they can get extreme reality in their life. Just like Lahari Baba. He was a family man, he has so many children. At the same time, he got the reality, truth. I am telling you, there are so many monks, those who are practicing Kriya Yoga, family men. They are getting everything, at the same time they are getting God realization. This is the life. I roam all over the world and I spread this Kriya Yoga technique everywhere. Here I have come the last moment. At the age of my 92, I am also spreading this Kriya Yoga all over America. Now I am sitting here. Let all people come to me and get the God realization by my help. It is very important thing. Thank you very much. I want to give love to every human being in this world. Thank you. God bless you all.
When he no longer traveled, his disciples from all over the world came to see him, to have his company, satsang, to receive his teachings and guidance. Just as his ashram was full of flowers and fruits, so it was also vibrant with the influx of disciples.
Thank you.
They not only spent time in meditation and satsang, but also actively participated in seva, serving in the garden. To accompany him on a garden tour was a unique experience.
Come here.
He was healthy and active, but slowly the visible signs of aging increased. In the last 2 years of his life, he had difficulty walking unassisted. Eventually, he had to use a wheelchair.
Look at here. Look at
The young man who once had walked straight by the side of tall and robust Guru Sri Yukteswaraji was now unable to walk. This grieved many. Still, his body was beautiful like a full-bloomed rose and his mind was equally active. His memory, even in his mid-90s, was remarkable. In spite of his advanced age, he continued to guide meditation, initiate sincere students into higher Kriya and counsel them.
Hey, you should sing a song.
In his daily tour, the Divine Gardener was not only directing devotees to take care of the garden externally, but to also take care of the inner spiritual garden.
Amar pare roshik ne bolavo gan ge tare bolavo pare roke সেই ভরসায় চড়ে শেষ পারানের করে কণ্ঠে নিলেন গান কণ্ঠে নিলেন শেষ পারানের করে কণ্ঠে নিলেন গান কণ্ঠে নিলেন ওগো তোমরা মিছেই ভাবো আমি যাবই যাবই যাব বাংলো দুয়ার কাটলো দরা ধরে শেষ পারানের কণ্ঠে নিলেন গান কণ্ঠে নিলেন গান কণ্ঠে নিলেন
Mama, you're super! You're super! You're super, Mama.
Very nice song.
Very nice song.
He always reminded students that the kingdom of heaven is in each one of us,
On the ground.
as is the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden is in the hearts of us all, and we should be good gardeners and tend to our inner garden in order to evolve spiritually.
Hello.
Neil.
Thank you. Go this way. Hello. Guava, one guava is open.
Oh, and the guava's open. But there are so many.
ভজ গুরুর নাম জপ গুরুর নাম ভজ গুরুর নাম জপ গুরুর নাম শ্রী গুরুর নাম দিন তোমার আনন্দে যাবে ভজলে গুরুর নাম গুরুর ব্রহ্মা গুরুর বিষ্ণু গুরুর শিব রাম গুরুর সেবায় মোক্ষ মিলে ধর্ম অর্থ কাম গুরু ব্রহ্মা গুরুর বিষ্ণু গুরুর শিব রাম গুরুর সেবায় মোক্ষ মিলে ধর্ম অর্থ কাম ভজ গুরুর নাম
ধয় যেন মোর সকল ভালো বাসা ধয় যেন মোর সকল ভালো বাসা প্রভু তোমার পানে তোমার পানে তোমার পানে ধয় যেন মোর সকল ভালো finish now you go do whatever you like I am telling ধয় যেন মোর সকল ভালো বাসা all my love will run towards my breath, towards my Supreme Almighty Lord, who is inhaling from above. You should all do it. This is my birthday. I may die just now. The hole is there. You all can put me and give me so many stones over my body. 9 feet deep. I am happy just now. I want to finish.
On the morning of his departure on December 3rd, 2002, he uttered his last words: peace, bliss, love, joy, divinity. Slowly he became more peaceful, now and then opening his eyes to look at those present with a divine heavenly smile. Pure love and calmness emanated from his face as he drew his last breath. He exited the body to immerse himself once more in the Supreme Almighty Lord. 10th of December, the mortal body of Paramhansa Hariharananda left the Florida ashram, homeward bound for the distant shores of Mother India to be laid to rest with his forefathers. The government of Odisha had decided to accord state honors to Paramhansa Hariharananda upon the arrival of his remains. Never before has such an honor been bestowed upon a monk. Thousands of people from all over India had gathered and were present for his burial, including many monks from different traditions and Western disciples. His earthly remains were buried in accordance with traditional monastic burial rites, supervised by a Vedic priest from the local Puri Shankaracharya Govardhana Mutt. Finally, 2 huge slabs were raised up onto the burial platform and placed in position to seal the burial receptacle. To complete the ceremony, a Shiva Lingam was installed on the marble cover. The Lingam was named Hariharishvara and symbolizes his union with the divine. Paramhansa Hariharananda's Samadhi temple, the Sri Guru temple, was inaugurated during his birth centenary year in 2006. It is a majestic temple that is not only the final resting place of Paramhansa Hariharananda, but has beautiful statues of the Kriya Yoga masters that imbue this pilgrimage site with spiritual vibration.
আজ যেমন করে গাইছে আকাশ তেমনি করে গাও গো আজ যেমন করে আজ যেমন করে চাইছে আকাশ তেমনি করে চাও গো আজ যেমন করে গাইছে আকাশ তেমনি করে গাও গো আজ যেমন করে আজ হাওয়া যেমন পাতায় পাতায় মোর মরিয়া বনকে কাঁদায় হাওয়া যেমন পাতায় পাতায় মোর মরিয়া বনকে কাঁদায় তেমনি আমার বুকের মাঝে তেমনি আমার বুকের মাঝে কাঁদিয়া কাঁদাও গো আজ যেমন করে গাইছে আকাশ তেমনি করে গাও গো আজ যেমন
Jesus asked and told Jesus, there is no wine. Today there is a big feast. How do we get wine? He said, there is water in the drum? He said, yes. Then Jesus went and placed his hand inside the drum. All the water is transformed into wine. So that is the power of Jesus. Jesus was so powerful. Then after that, the day of ascension, Jesus said, if I stay here, people can't follow you. So I will leave this place. That was the ascension of Jesus. After 1 month and a few days, Jesus was here. Then in presence of all people, Jesus ascended. All people saw. But Jesus went there. He felt that if I do not come back and remain behind them, then they will not get courage. So after a few days, this is the Good Friday, that he was killed, crucified on the Good Friday. Why Good Friday? Because he was killed, he did not die. It is proved that Jesus is a deathless person. This is Good Friday. Then he went. Again Jesus thought, I am to go. He came in the shape of sheep. Descension of Jesus. Again he came. And he was remaining in a different country. I am teaching. I wrote so many books, which is very essential for all human beings. Kriya Yoga book is most important. Everything is written there about the life of each human being. Also about my life, it is written there. Also, I inform my disciple, give dictation of the whole Bhagavad Gita. It was written there. Second chapter will come on my birthday, on 27th May.
Second start.
This is my birthday. And on that day, Buddha was born on 27th May, full moon day. It is a special day. On that day, the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita will come out. It is metaphorical interpretation. And also third chapter will come after. Even many other books have come. Even Pragyanananda ji, also I told him to write about the Bible. He wrote the metaphorical interpretation of the Bible. That book is also there. There are so many books. That is very helping for the human being, for the world, for their upliftment. So, I am telling, if the people read that book and come to our touch, it is the simplest technique. Only will fix you. In scripture it is said, if the technique is not the simplest technique, easiest technique, then it is not the technique. It is all bad. Delirium. Follow me? Yes. So Kriya Yoga is the simplest and shortest shortcut. Only short breath. Search him in the head and watch him. Take a very little breath, search him inside the head. Then you will see milk white light, covering the whole world with divine sight. Calmly search God in the fontanel. You search him in the fontanel. Surely you will get God realization. Practice Kriya well. Calmly search God in the fontanel. Surely you will get God realization. Practice Kriya well. Calmly. शाहुस्रार में दृष्टि रखकर भगवान को ढूंढो, मोक्ष तुमको मिल जाएगा, ठीक से क्रिया करो. I translated in many languages this song. I wrote that song. Calmly search God in the fontanel. Surely you will get God realization. Practice Kriya well. Take a very little breath, not long breath. Search him inside the head, then you will see milk white light, covering the whole world with divine sight. You will get Samadhi stage. Whole world is covered with light. Then you get Samadhi stage. Kriya Yoga. Very nice. Thank you. Evolution, it will surely evolve. One day you will see the whole people of the world, they will practice Kriya Yoga shortcut technique. Maybe so. Kriya Yoga is the foundation of all spiritual building, foundation of all religions. So if they practice it, then there will be evolution. Only truth. Truth will come one day. But it will take time. At present, extreme extrovert. But still through that extrovert, if they practice this Kriya Yoga, they will get both the introvert and extrovert. That will be the easiest way, Kriya Yoga. That you will remain in the material world and you will remain free from the material world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Deva Purusha Puranam Tamosha Vishesha Paramam Nidhanam Veta Shivedancha Parancha Dhamma Kaya Tatam Visham Anantarupa Vayurjama Yogini Varuna Shashanka Prajapatistam Prapita Mahascha Namo Namaste Astu Shasakitva Punascha Bhuyogi Namo Namaste Namo Purastad Asa Prishtataste Namostute Sharva Tayeva Sharva Ananta Vidya Amrita Vikramastam Sharvam Samapnoshi Tato Sharva